All right. Is my sound working? All right. Hey guys, Happy New Year. It is a new year. So what does that mean? I don't know. What does that mean for anybody? Um, so as you might notice, I've got this picture of the new Avatar movie right behind me, Fire and Ash. And it's going to be part of today's masterclass in an interesting way. So in previous masterclasses, I've tried to cover kind of how our own body works, but I want to try and connect that with the world around us. Hold on, let me turn my phone down, or else, because if you don't understand how if we don't understand how we work, then we don't understand how the world around us works, and so it creates conflict. And this movie, James Cameron's Avatar series, is one of the most well done representations of the human drama. You know, we always think about what the human drama is. What is the human drama? And I can tell you that the human drama, from my perspective, and this is why I built this masterclass, is moving from an animalistic nature to a higher form. It's an evolutionary process, but it's about how well the heart understands. Hey, Happy New Year. It's nice to see somebody in the chat. It's how well we understand ourselves, and how well we understand how we expand, and then how we can help the world around us expand. So when we look at reality, everything has a heart. The heart of galaxy, the heart of your own nervous system, the heart of your biofield, your energetic heart. When we look at trees, and this is why I like one of my favorite sayings in the Bible is, see the lilies and how they grow. If you look at any plant, there's a heart where the seed was at, and then it grows in both directions. And then when we look at the bigger picture, there's always one heart in the center of it. So your heart, and quantum physics has shown this, because this is what creates time. As soon as we create space and we pull everything from one point, then it creates time. But if we get rid of time and space, your heart is instantaneously connected with everything else around you. And it's always, when we look close enough at any point, there's always just a heart. It's expanding from that point, and then everything comes from it and then goes back to it. This can be hard to kind of get your mind wrapped around it. But if we can understand that basic concept, then it gives us some insight as to what we're looking at and who we are. So if everything is coming from one point and it's all growing from the center, then when we look at everything, it's like, okay, well, what about ourselves? What about this thing that I'm looking at? And you can see that there's an evolutionary chain where each structure within that field that's all coming from the same place is becoming more aware of itself and moving more information and energy in the body. So if you want to make sure that you're not falling out of love, and love, this is why love is so important. You're not falling out of love with anything around you, including yourself. And you've really got to start with yourself, because if you think negatively about yourself in any way, then that will have you'll just project that onto the world around you, because the faults that you see within yourself you'll see in the people around you. You don't want to do that. There's nothing wrong with anybody or anything. It's just learning about itself. And so when that illusion of separation goes away, then it begins with not mentally feeding on your environment. So let's go to the movie and try and interpret what the movie is saying about that. This is a fantastic. The third movie is talks about the human drama in so many ways, and it deals with it in a way that is the same that we see that goes on in our world over the last 100 years. And I know James Cameron understands these things, and he's trying to help the world in his own way by storytelling, by writing, and it's why he's the most successful director that's been in. I gotta answer this chat. Happy New Year. That has to, he's got to do what he feels like he needs to do, because, there's only so much explaining you can do to people. If you can tell them a story that backs up the real basic problem of what we're seeing, then what better way is there? It's something that connects people on an emotional level, and why, why are we destroying things? Why are we feeding off of things unnaturally? The first movie is about people leaving Earth and going to a planet Pandora and mining for stuff. But they're destroying living organisms by doing it, and they're disrupting the local ecosystem. Well, there's an underlying... so in order for them to do that psychologically, they have to look at the local natives as lesser things, that their needs aren't as important as their own. And so they don't look at them as, it's not they create a psychological block where their heart is separate from the hearts of the things that they're looking at. They don't see them as connected. And this has a much more profound effect as the three movies that James Cameron has built has gone along, because he's created a world where a human can become that thing that they're trying to destroy. And then once they do, it happens on both sides. Even the colonel, the bad guy, or this guy right here in the lower corner, on the lower left-hand corner, he used to be human, so actually becomes, his memories become an avatar or a Navi to interact with his arch nemesis, who's the one who, first became a Navi. And then his own son is raised by the Navi, his human son. And so all that prejudice, both sides are having to deal with prejudice, because the wife of Jake Sully, what's her name? Atari. I think her name's Atari. Atari. She's dealing with the same thing. She sees the white people as evil. They showed up, but then they're raising a human child from birth. And even at the beginning of this third movie, she wants to make sure that they're not raising this child as alien. It's not welcome here. But the planet itself, the womb that they're in, heals the child so that it can breathe and operate in their atmosphere without a mask. There's so many powerful parts of this story that tries to say, that we're all living in a womb. We're all living in a heart. And as long as we don't put ourselves in conflict with each other, then the heart supports us. As soon as we put ourselves in conflict with one another, it drives our family structure apart. And this is the other major point in that movie. Whenever we put ourselves in, every person and entity in this movie that's putting themselves in conflict with the outside world is putting themselves in conflict with their own family. And you can see each character in the film that James Cameron has created is in conflict with their own way. The only one that's not in conflict is the most powerful being in this movie, which is the daughter, Grace. The one who received the body, or the childlike body of Grace, the one that was trying to heal all the villagers for that movie. Really powerful message. And she's the one that's trying to connect with the womb that they are in, or Iowa, AWA is what they're calling it, to protect them. Mostly they just want protection because you've got exterior entities that are coming in and attacking them. So the last thing you want to do is attack them back. But what can you do? All you can do is ask for help, and then if the conflict grows great enough, then yeah, the womb will protect you. It takes on a masculine aspect, and then purely in defense, the things that are attacking it basically get destroyed. Very powerful message. You're actually killing. If you attack something that's defenseless, you're killing yourself, because you're attacking the defenseless part of yourself. Always think of the world around you as a part of you. And however you think about it is how you think about yourself, because it is yourself. It's just another part of your heart that's burgeoning and growing. Such an amazing thing to think about. And how much do we feed on ourselves unconsciously that has a negative consequence to our actions? Science has shown us that fasting and meditation is one of the two greatest things that you can do for yourself, because it quiets the mind and the body is able to heal itself when we don't keep putting stuff in it all the time. It's such an amazing thing to think about. So, I can conceptualize all this stuff and talk about it, but I want to go back and talk about a very spiritual experience for me that happened over 20 years ago. It was a girlfriend that I was dealing with, and she had left me for somebody else. And I was just totally beside myself. I was like, why did this happen? What did I do wrong? What was wrong with me? And it comes down, and it's always about the self, right? Because if our external environment feels like it's not loving us the way that we want it to, then it turns up as pain unless we heal that part of ourselves. So that is actually an energetic block, right? It's an emotional block in our biofield because it's energetic. So if we don't feel good about ourselves in a certain way, and I got to a place and I was in such emotional pain, I asked for help. I said, look, I love this person. I'll always love them. It doesn't matter. And all of a sudden I felt like there was something broke inside me. And it felt like I got washed from head to toe. And I was so tired, I could not sleep at the time. And as soon as that thing broke loose, I just, boom. I passed out, but also I heard, not audibly, but I felt and heard just a cacophony of singing that it was like it came from it was such an amazing experience. It felt like it came from like an infinite number of like angelic voices all at the same time, but it was also in the sound of like one voice. I can't even explain it. It was like all the parts of me were singing, and then that release, it was just like, because all the pain went away. It was all emotional pain. And then bam, I went to sleep. And so I fell asleep, and the next morning, it felt like, I don't know if any of you are electricians out there, but it felt like I had slapped onto like one of the highest frequency, big, high voltage transformers. Like I grabbed onto it, and I was just like, transformers buzz at 60 hertz. This was like I was buzzing at hundreds of thousands of hertz. But my whole body, and there was nothing going through my mind. I was at peace. I wasn't worried about anything. And I can tell you from an energetic standpoint, when that happens to you, you're no longer worried about anything out there. Everything out there is, love it unconditionally. You don't need anything from it anymore. It doesn't need to show you a specific aspect of itself in order for you to feel good about it. We are all source, that, and our ability to love and not needing to have something come back to us in a specific way will free you, because then you'll understand who and what you are. You are source. You're no different than anything else, but everything you're looking at, whether it's a tree or a bug or a bird, is going through different levels of self-awareness. It doesn't understand that it is a part of everything. It does to a certain degree, but most of it is unconscious energy. It's just recreating the things that it's experienced in the past, which is what most humans are doing. But when we see ourselves as separate, or we don't see ourselves as a part of one another, then it places us in conflict with one another. And then it damages the womb that we're living in. It's the exact same story that James Cameron is trying to tell in his own words. That the womb will hurt us, and we die within that womb when we put ourselves in conflict with each other and it. Because you can't separate the two. I hope this makes sense for you guys. You know, like I said in earlier videos, it depends on how much, interaction I have with you guys in the chat as to how long I'll be on here for, these live streams. But I really appreciate you guys. Everybody that shows up and at least, takes the time to kind of watch this every once in a while. Not only that, but I appreciate you even if you don't. Because then that's the message I just said, is that each and every one of us has something to offer that's something beautiful in our own way. And always follow your heart, because your heart is where everything comes from and goes back to, and it's connected to everything around you. It is everything around you. And so when we meet people and we interact with people that don't understand that, or are always caught in some kind of perception of the ego, or how they have to compare themselves, everything has infinite potential. And you can unlock your own infinite potential on how much you love yourself and you love the people around you, and accept them where they're at, and do our best to explain how we need to help each other grow. We water plants to grow, so we're watering each other to help each other grow, and we all do it in our own ways. And James Cameron obviously is doing it in his own way. He's trying to tell a story that in his terms, this is the drama that I see that's trying to be healed. And the movie is a story of healing. It really is. The family structure that Jake Sully and Atari have, it's about healing that structure and understanding that they're all one. And it doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter where they're from. That we're all basic in our need to love ourselves first. Because if we don't do that, then how can we love anybody else? Love you guys. Have a beautiful day. And thanks for attending this live stream if you had the time to attend it. And you can get a hold of me at bcurtis@bcurtis.org, or sign up for my YouTube channel. And if I see you in the chat, or if you reach out to me and try and get a hold of me in any way, I'd be more than happy to see what we can do together, see what we can create together. And all healing is possible because it all comes from the heart. And as long as we stop feeding the way, unconsciously in a bad way, or that causes ourselves harm, then we can make our lives a lot longer and much more fulfilling. So, love you guys. Have a great day. And Happy New Year.